In this video, we'll be making surfaces out of all of our feature lines and grading objects. We'll be making a good number of surfaces and then combining them all together to get one sort of finished grade composite master surface, whatever you want to call it, like that. So keep that in mind as we go along here. We will start with our feature lines themselves. So if I select a feature line such as the concrete pad here, I can create a surface from it directly from the feature line ribbon. I'll create a surface, call this concrete pad, and hit OK. I will expand my surfaces in the prospector tab and go to definition for the concrete pad. And I'm going to add the feature line as a break line as well, just to really define that 574 feet elevation that I have. So the break line just is a way for Civil 3D to, it's one of the ways you can define a surface. You can use, contours and points. Here I'm using a break line. The break line says it will assign one elevation to the break line has to be like a single elevation, like 574 feet, and it will make that entire line of 574 feet and then make the surface around it. So break lines can be really powerful if you have a surface and you want to maybe make like a retaining wall, for example. You can have a polyline go across your site or a feature line go across your site and assign it as a break line, and Civil 3D will automatically assign that elevation to your surface. So I will do that, and that is one surface made. Now I'll do the same thing for the sidewalk. So I'll select the feature line and create a surface, calling the sidewalk surface. Hit OK. I will go to that in the prospector tab in the definition and add the feature line as a break line as well. So I think I misspoke a little bit by saying that it had to be a constant elevation. It doesn't, but Civil 3D will use that as the sort of like default or overwritten elevation. So it will make sure to prioritize the break lines. This mid-ordinate distance I will set to 0.1 feet. The smaller your value is, the more accurate it will be. The larger it is, the less accurate, but there's that trade-off on calculation and computing power. You can already see here it made contour lines here, and that's because the way Civil 3D works is it connects any points it can into triangles, and so that's what it did. So we also need to assign a boundary to our surface here. So I'm going to add a boundary and call this sidewalk boundary, and select the same mid-ordinate distance. And I want the boundary of my sidewalk to be the sidewalk feature line. So now when I do that, you can see those contour lines went away, and now my surface is all within the sidewalk footprint. One other thing I just want to quickly kind of point out, there'll be an extra optional video on this as well, but in the surface properties tab, you can control the plan, your model view style, right? And you can also control the render material. So if I want my sidewalk to look like concrete, I can do that. I can do that same thing for the concrete pad itself. Now, these materials will show up in the object viewer, which is the older one that is worse in my opinion and a little bit more outdated. But if I go to the object viewer and I'm in the realistic viewpoint, you'll see those materials show up here. I'm trying to select the corner. So you can see how, this looks like concrete, especially as you zoom in and get closer. This doesn't work for the model viewer. The model viewer is new, and part of the reason why it's so fast is because it uses different types of drawing styles here. So you can see this doesn't look like concrete. If I go to the settings tab, you'll notice there's no realistic visual style. The model viewer is really new. It's new to this 2025 version of Civil 3D though. So hopefully in the future, this is something we'll see. I think the render materials are pretty cool. So that's something you can play around with. They will show up in the object viewer, which is what the drive function uses that I went over in the last deliverable, and we'll do a similar thing here as well, totally optional. Now that we've made these two surfaces, we can go ahead and make the surfaces for our grading groups. I think the best way of doing this is going to your site tab in the prospector, expanding it to grading groups, and then if you right click a grading group and go to properties, you can see this automatic surface creation exist. So I will make my sidewalk grading surface, and maybe I will assign short grass grading material. Sure. And you can see that here. There's also the option to make a volume surface. We will do this later in the next video, so don't worry about this. This will come in 2 videos from now. So just hit apply and OK, and we made a surface out of that. We'll do the same thing for our pond. Pond surface. Hit apply and OK. You'll notice the lines start to double up a little bit, have different colors. And that's a good sign that your grading surfaces were created. If I go back to the surfaces panel, you can see all of the surfaces there. From here, I want to basically combine all of these surfaces into one. And the reason for that is I need a finished grade surface that I can do, for example, stormwater analysis on, that we can make, volume surfaces and cut fill profiles on, and all of that stuff. So we are going to right click the surfaces and create a new surface. I will call this FG for finished grade. You can call it finished surface, finished grade. You can call it composite surface, master surface, whatever you want. In here, I will expand the definition tab and go to the edits option. I'll right click that and go to paste surface. And here I want to add my existing ground, my pond, my sidewalk, grading, and my sidewalk. I will hold down shift to select them all. You can also, use control and click them one at a time. I also want my concrete pad. I will hit OK, and now I've made my combined finished grade surface. The first thing I'm going to do is turn off the styling for all of my other surfaces so I can look at just the finished grade contour lines. When I do this, you'll notice a couple of problems jump out right away. So just turning all of these off. The first thing you might be able to notice is if you look at our site and go to the concrete pad, there are contour lines here. And if you hover over it and wait a little bit, you can see the finished grade elevation is changing. And that's not good. We don't want it to do that. So we need to change the way this is being drawn. If I open this in the model viewer, you will definitely see what I mean here. So you can see that there is an elevation change on the concrete pad. This definitely is not correct. Everything else looks okay though. The reason this has to do is how Civil 3D draws your surface when it's made of other surfaces. So if I go to the finished grade surface properties and go to the definition tab, you can see all of the pastes and edits we made here. Now, this is a sort of hierarchy that Civil 3D uses. It will draw whichever one is on the top first, and it will go down the list. So the one on the bottom basically has the highest priority. It draws these in the order that it sees them, and whatever elevation ends up being last on top is what it draws. So to fix this, I'm going to take my existing grade and move it all the way to the top. So it's going to draw the existing grade first, then it will make all of these changes to it. I'm just going to hit apply to rebuild the surface. Click OK. And now you will notice that there are no contour lines on my concrete pad, which is perfect. If I open this up in the model viewer, you can see what that looks like. It looks a lot better to me. The sidewalk grading looks good. Definitely could have done better with the sidewalk 2D width here, but that is okay. And my pond looks good as well. So I'm happy with this, and this is what it looks like in the object viewer. So now that we have done that, the next step is going to be representing the elevation changes we made in profile views.